Hello, my name is Nur Hadi Ibnu, and I want to do my advanced listening talks. So let's get started. Part 1. Answer this question. 1. Retell that audio using your own word. Answer. Good evening, and welcome to tonight's 10 News. The main story is the evening. A new Buddhist temple has been opened on the outskirts of the city. The opening ceremony, which was attended by people of all different faiths, was said to be a great success. Mobile phone prices have reached an all-time low. Now is the cheapest time in history to buy and use a mobile phone. A woman has reached the history books after completing the world's longest bus journey. June Ryder from the West Bank stayed on a double-decker for 621 days, but decided to stop after her third grandson was born. An animal sanctuary is due to open on the outskirts of the city next week. The sanctuary is being funded by the local council and is hoping to help save both neglected pets and local wildlife. If you would like to make a donation, please call the hotline. House officials are promoting fresh fruits and vegetables this week in a bid to encourage residents to increase their intake from an average of 4 portions per day to 7. Tomorrow will be chilly with top temperature at 8 degrees. The evening may bring wind and you should expect some sleep overnight. Well, that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. Part 2. Answer this question. Great to know. The Wicked Queen, who turned Bertie into a frog, was taking a walk by the pond in the palace gardens. She stopped by to have a long chat with Colin. Colin asked how her royal weakness was doing, and she started on every such a long grumble. Even though she doesn't like animals, and above all she complained about the king, he just isn't royal enough, she said. He's so disgustingly nice. He's always showing mercy when what's needed is a good bit of old-fashioned punishment. Exactly. What use is mercy to anybody? If I were a king, I would make sure things were done properly. In fact, I often wish that fine face like me could be a king, that everything would be alright in the world. Well, in that case, your wish can come true. Abracadabra, wishes too. Colin shall be king, and the king shall be you. The sky went dark and a chill wind blew over the pond. As for Colin, he found himself sitting on a throne studded with diamonds. Can this be true? He said to himself. I'm all horrible dry and I'm a breathing air and I'm I'm human. It took Colin a little while to realize what had happened, and just as he was still feeling a little confused, a servant in red livery announced that the lovely Princess Beatrice was about to enter the chamber leading a group of the smallest and sweetest little girls who live in the palace. I know just who Beatrice is, said King Colin. But when the lovely Princess Beatrice kissed his hand, wished him good morning, and said how handsome he was looking that day, King Colin thought to himself, actually, she's not so bad after all. The little girls who had come with Beatrice were all wearing pink dresses and they all did pretty little curtsies. When they had gone, Colin said, I think I shall be called King Colin the Wise, because you see I'm jolly brainy. And the king and the queen pulled a face at him when he wasn't looking. Later in the morning, the chancellor who was in charge of all the gold and treasure in the kingdom came to consult with the king. He said that they had collected more money than expected, and he was wondering what they should spend it on. The lovely Princess Beatrice makes a good point. This palace is splendid enough. We shall build a hospital for the children, and while we are about it, let's make sure there is an underwater wing of the hospital, especially for sick fish. As both the chancellor and the lovely Princess Beatrice said that King Colin was extremely wise, the decision to build the hospital was made. The old king might have been a nincompoop, but at least he knew how to score goals for the palace football team. And with that, she pointed her magic wand at King Colin and shouted, "Fish flash!" And Colin found himself wet once again and breathing underwater. And with that, he managed to turn his gout into almost a smile. Part 3. Make a note. Once upon a time, there was an old man, an old woman, and a little boy. One morning, the old woman made some gingerbread in the shape of man. She added icing for his hair and clothes, and little blobs of dough for his nose and eyes. When she put him in the oven to bake, she said to the little boy, "You watch the you watch the gingerbread man while your grandfather and I go out to work in the garden." So the old man and the old woman went out and began to dig potatoes, and left the little boy to tend the oven. All of a sudden, he heard a noise, and he looked up, and the open door popped open, and out of the oven jumped a gingerbread man, and went rolling along and over and towards the open door of the house. The little boy ran to shut the door, but the gingerbread man was too quick for him and rolled through the door. The little boy ran after him as fast as he could manage, crying out to his grandfather and grandmother, who heard the noise and threw down their spades in the garden to give chase to. On went the gingerbread man, and by he came to two men digging a well, who looked up from their work and called out, "Where are you going, gingerbread man?" he said. "I've outrun an old man, an old woman, and a little boy, and I can outrun you too." "You can you?" "We'll see about that," said they. And so they threw down their picks and ran after him, but couldn't catch up with him, and soon they had to sit down by the roadside to rest. Extremely tasty, and he doesn't blame that fox at all for wanting to eat it. I suppose he has a point, but then again, it's not just any old piece of gingerbread that can run. So that is all from my advanced listening talks. Thank you so much.